The Invisible Ceiling, Redefining Success in a World That Wasn't Built for Us. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for this special TED Talk. I'm truly honored to stand before you, sharing insights that have transformed my understanding of success, power, and possibility. Today, I want to share profound wisdom gained from a remarkable visionary, SoulAngel, also known as Karen Elaine Davis. Though our research revealed limited information about her published poetry and ministry work, what became abundantly clear is that her essence represents something far greater than herself. SoulAngel's work embodies the transformative power of authentic self expression in spaces designed to silence. Her poetry and spiritual guidance have created ripples of healing across communities where hope seemed distant. She stands as a beacon for those navigating the complex intersections of identity, purpose, and power. We often talk about the glass ceiling in professional settings, but for Black women, there's something more insidious at work, what I've come to call the invisible ceiling. It's not just glass that can be shattered with enough determination, it's a ceiling that shifts and morphs that sometimes appears not to exist at all until you hit it unexpectedly, leaving you disoriented, questioning your reality. Let me start with a counterintuitive idea that challenges everything we've been taught. What if the traditional markers of success, the promotions, the corner offices, the prestigious titles, are actually part of a system designed to maintain the status quo rather than disrupt it? This is not about rejecting ambition or excellence. Far from it. It's about recognizing that the game itself might be fundamentally rigged, and that true revolution comes not from playing by established rules but from creating entirely new ones. Think about it. We celebrate when a Black woman becomes the first to achieve something, the first Black female CEO of a Fortune 500 company, the first Black woman on the Supreme Court, the first Black female vice president. And these are indeed remarkable achievements worthy of celebration. But there's something deeply troubling about perpetually being the first decades after the civil rights movement, isn't there? The question becomes, why are we still counting first in 2025? The answer lies in understanding that systems of power don't readily surrender their advantages. They adapt. They create illusions of progress while maintaining fundamental imbalances. Consider this stark reality. Black women with advanced degrees earn 58 cents for every dollar earned by white men with the same credentials. This isn't about education or qualification, it's about valuation, about whose contribution society deems worthy of reward. When we look at corporate America, the statistics tell a devastating story. According to a recent McKinsey report, while women make up 48% of entry level positions, only 4% of C suite positions are held by women of color, just 4%. And when we narrow that down to Black women specifically, the numbers become even more heartbreaking. But here's where our thinking needs a radical shift. The traditional response to these statistics has been to focus on what Black women need to do differently: network more, speak up more, find mentors, get sponsors, lean in harder. What if we've been asking the wrong questions all along? Instead of asking how Black women can better adapt to systems that weren't built for them, what if we asked how these systems need to transform to properly value the unique perspectives, experiences, and contributions that Black women bring? This is where Soul Angel's perspective becomes particularly relevant. Though the details of her professional journey remain limited in our research, what emerges is the importance of creating spaces where Black women can define success on their own terms. The Pink Parachute Diaries was born from this very recognition that in a world where talented Black women are handed pink slips while underperforming men receive golden parachutes, We need to completely rewrite the narrative. Success isn't just about climbing corporate ladders, it's about building new structures all together. It's about recognizing that entrepreneurship for Black women isn't just an option. It's often a necessity born from systems that consistently fail to recognize their worth. Black women are the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs in America. This isn't coincidental. When doors are consistently closed or only partially opened, creating your own door becomes an act of both survival and revolution. Maya Angelou once said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated." This resilience is the hallmark of Black women's professional journeys. It's not just about perseverance, though that's certainly part of it. It's about the creativity and innovation that emerges from navigating hostile or indifferent environments. Let me be crystal clear. This isn't about lowering standards or expectations, quite the opposite. It's about recognizing that excellence comes in many forms and that the traditional metrics of success often fail to capture the full range of contributions that Black women make. When we talk about empowering Black women, we must move beyond simplistic narratives of individual grit and determination, though these qualities are certainly present in abundance. We must address the systemic barriers that persist despite decades of diversity initiatives and inclusion efforts. Corporate America has spent billions on diversity programs, yet the needle has barely moved for Black women in leadership. This suggests that the approach itself may be fundamentally flawed. What if, instead of trying to fix Black women to fit into existing structures, we focused on fixing the structures themselves? This means reimagining what leadership looks like. It means valuing different communication styles and approaches to problem solving. It means recognizing that the lived experiences of Black women navigating both racism and sexism create a unique perspective that is invaluable in today's complex business environment. There's a concept in architecture called universal design. The idea that when you design spaces to accommodate those with the greatest needs, you create environments that work better for everyone. The same principle applies to professional environments. When we create workplaces that truly value and support Black women, we create better workplaces for all. This isn't just about fairness or equity, though these are certainly important. It's about effectiveness. It's about recognizing that homogeneous leadership teams make worse decisions, they miss opportunities, they fail to understand diverse customer bases, they innovate less effectively. The data bears this out. Companies with diverse leadership teams outperform their peers financially. They are more innovative. They are better at attracting and retaining talent. Diversity isn't just a moral imperative, it's a business imperative. Yet, despite this evidence, progress remains painfully so slow. Why? Because changing systems requires more than good intentions. It requires a fundamental redistribution of power. And those who benefit from existing arrangements rarely surrender their advantages willingly. This is where collective action becomes essential. Individual Black women can and do achieve remarkable success despite the odds, but transforming systems requires collective effort. It requires allies who are willing to use their privilege and position to create change. It requires organizations willing to examine their cultures, policies, and practices with unflinching honesty. And most importantly, it requires centering the voices and experiences of Black women themselves in designing solutions. Too often, diversity initiatives are designed without meaningful input from the very people they're meant to benefit. They address symptoms rather than causes. They focus on representation without addressing inclusion or belonging. They measure what's easy to count rather than what truly matters. The result is predictable. cosmetic changes that fail to address underlying issues, recruitment efforts that aren't matched by retention strategies, diversity that doesn't translate to equity or inclusion. Real change requires courage. It requires a willingness to be uncomfortable, to acknowledge complicity in systems that harm, to surrender unearned advantages, to listen more than speak. For Black women navigating these complex realities, self care becomes not a luxury, but a necessity. Audre Lorde reminded us that caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. In a world that often devalues Black women's contributions and undermines their worth, affirming one's own value becomes revolutionary. This means setting boundaries, it means recognizing when environments are toxic and having the courage to leave them. It means building networks of support and solidarity. It means celebrating victories, no matter how small. And perhaps most importantly, it means defining success on your own terms. Success might mean starting your own business rather than fighting for recognition in corporate spaces. It might mean prioritizing impact over titles. It might mean choosing work that aligns with your values rather than chasing prestige or compensation. The beauty of redefining success is that it puts the power back in your hands. When you're no longer measuring yourself against standards designed without you in mind, you free yourself to pursue what truly matters to you. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition or excellence. It means channeling them in directions that serve your highest purpose rather than someone else's that holds no expectations. For some, this might mean traditional career advancement, breaking through barriers and claiming spaces previously denied. For others, it might mean entrepreneurship, creating new spaces altogether. For still others, it might mean work that prioritizes community impact over individual achievement. All of these paths are valid, all are necessary, and all contribute to the larger project of creating a world where Black women's talents and contributions are fully recognized and valued. As I stand here today, I'm calling on each of you to become active participants in dismantling these invisible ceilings. This isn't just work for Black women to do, it's work for all of us. If you lead teams, examine who gets heard in meetings. If you make hiring decisions, challenge your own biases about what qualified looks like. If you have privilege in any form, use it to create space for those who don't. The greatest act of resistance is often joy. In a world that expects Black women to be perpetually strong, perpetually resilient, perpetually fighting, choosing joy becomes the revolutionary. This doesn't mean ignoring injustice or accepting the status quo. It means refusing to let systems of oppression define your entire existence. Walk out of here today with this commitment. I will not be complicit in maintaining invisible ceilings. I will question standards that exclude. I will amplify voices that have been silenced. I will recognize excellence in all its forms. Because the truth is, when we remove these invisible barriers, we don't just liberate those who have been held back. We liberate ourselves. We create organizations that are more innovative, communities that are more vibrant, and a world that is more just. The ceiling isn't glass, it's a myth. And together, we have the power to shatter it completely, not just for one extraordinary woman to break through, but for all of us to soar beyond it. Thank you.